There are men who will lift you up, cherish your heart, and walk beside you with integrity. But there are also men, dangerous men, who will shatter your spirit, steal your peace, and leave you standing in the ruins of what you thought was love. At first, they seem perfect. Their words drip with charm, their actions seem thoughtful, and their presence feels like an answered prayer. But in time, their true nature emerges, and by then, your heart is tangled in their web. There is the phantom promise keeper, the one who paints beautiful pictures of the future but never builds anything real. He tells you you're his world, but when the storms come, he vanishes like a ghost. You believed in his words, but his actions never match. And let me tell you, a promise without action is just a whisper in the wind. It disappears, leaving only emptiness behind. Then there's the Master Manipulator. He doesn't just break your heart. He makes you question if you even have one. He twists the truth, rewrites history, and somehow, no matter what happens, it's always your fault. He makes you feel small so he can feel big. He makes you doubt yourself so he can stay in control. But hear me now, your worth is not defined by his deception. Some of you have met the eternal wanderer. He is restless, never satisfied, always chasing something else. A new thrill, a new love, a new adventure, always looking ahead while leaving broken hearts behind. He made you believe you were different, that you were the one who could make him stay. But no one, not you, not anyone, can fill a soul that refuses to be still. Then there is the self-absorbed king, the one who sits on a throne of his own making. His needs come first, his desires rule the day, and you are an accessory, a shadow in his kingdom. Love should be a dance of two souls, not a stage for one man's ego. If he does not see you, truly see you, then he does not deserve you. And beware of the masked saint, the man who wears a disguise of goodness, speaks words of faith and kindness, but his heart is full of deception. He gains your trust, he earns your love, and then, when the mask slips, you see the lies, the betrayal, the selfishness hiding beneath. There is no greater heartbreak than realizing the man who seemed righteous was anything but. But listen to me now. Your heartbreak is not the end of your story. A shattered heart is not a life sentence. It is a lesson, a redirection, a divine intervention to guide you to something greater. You are not meant to be played with, deceived, or taken for granted. You are meant to be cherished, respected, and loved with honor. And when the wrong men leave your life, do not chase them. Do not mourn what was never real. Lift your head, strengthen your spirit, and walk boldly forward because something better awaits. Your heart is precious. Protect it. Guard. And when love finds you again, true love, honest love, steadfast love, you will recognize it because it will not bring confusion, only peace. There is a kind of heartbreak that doesn't come from a single moment of betrayal, but from a slow, agonizing realization. It is the kind that comes from trusting a man whose words and actions never quite align. This is the pain of loving the phantom promise keeper, the man who speaks of forever, yet never truly stays. At first, he seems like everything you ever dreamed of. He knows the right words to say, the right moments to say them, and the perfect way to make you believe that you are stepping into a love that will last a lifetime. He doesn't hesitate to tell you that you are the one he has been searching for, the answer to his prayers, the missing piece of his soul. And you believe him. Why wouldn't you? His words are beautiful, his declarations convincing, and his promises feel like the solid ground beneath your feet. But time reveals a different story. The grand plans, the whispered assurances, the vows of a future together, they remain just that. He talks about the house you'll build together, the places you'll travel, the life you'll create side by side. He tells you he will always be there, that you can count on him, that he will never walk away. Yet, when you reach for those promises, they slip through your fingers like smoke. At first, you make excuses. Maybe he's just busy. Maybe he's afraid. Maybe he needs more time. But deep inside, a quiet voice starts to whisper, something isn't right. You try to hold on, hoping that one day he will follow through. You replay his words, remind yourself of the sweet moments, and convince yourself that he wouldn't have said those things if he didn't mean them. But a man's love is not measured by the poetry of his promises. It is measured by his actions. And the phantom promise keeper is a man of words, not of deeds. When you need him most, he is absent. When life tests his commitment, he falters. When it is time to turn his promises into reality, he hesitates. and the weight of his inconsistency falls on your shoulders. You begin to wonder if you expected too much, if you pushed too hard, if you should be more patient, more understanding, more willing to wait. But love is not a waiting game. Love is action. Love is showing up, not just saying you will. Boo. Love is following through even when it's inconvenient, even when it's difficult. And if a man's words are full of devotion but his actions are empty, then his love is an illusion. And one day the realization hits you. He was never going to stay. Maybe he disappears suddenly like a shadow slipping into the night, leaving you with nothing but unanswered questions and broken dreams. Or maybe he lingers, giving just enough to keep you hoping, but never enough to truly build something lasting. Either way, his absence speaks louder than his words ever did. But here's the truth you must hold on to. His failure to keep his promises is not a reflection of your worth. It does not mean you are unlovable or that you asked for too much. It only means that he was not the man he pretended to be. And that is not your burden to carry. When the phantom promise keeper walks away, let him. Do not chase, do not beg, do not hold on to a love that was never solid to begin with. Instead, turn your heart toward the future, toward the love that will not just promise, but prove. Because one day you will meet a man whose words and actions match, a man who will not just say he loves you, but show it in every way that matters. And when that day comes, you will realize that the phantom promise keeper did not break you, he freed you. There is a kind of heartbreak that doesn't just leave you wounded. This is the devastation of falling for the Master Manipulator, a man who doesn't just play with your heart, but with your mind. At first, he seems charming. He is attentive, interested, and incredibly persuasive. He knows exactly what to say to make you feel special, seen, and understood. He makes you believe that you are his priority, that your happiness matters to him, that he values and cherishes you. And for a while, you feel like you've found something rare and beautiful. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, things begin to shift. He starts making small comments that unsettle you. Maybe he questions your memory. Are you sure that's what happened? I don't think that's how it went. Maybe he subtly dismisses your emotions. You're overreacting. You always take things the wrong way. Maybe he makes you feel guilty for things you shouldn't feel guilty for. If you really loved me, you wouldn't have said that. At first, you shake it off. Maybe he's right. Maybe you are being too sensitive. Maybe you did misunderstand. You begin to second-guess yourself, to rely on his version of events instead of your own. And just like that, he starts to rewrite reality bit by bit until you no longer trust your own thoughts. The Master Manipulator is a master of control. He never outright hurts you, at least not in ways you can easily recognize. Instead, he plants seeds of doubt, shifts blame, and bends the truth until you feel like you are the problem. You find yourself constantly apologizing, constantly trying to prove your love, constantly wondering what you did wrong. And the more you try to please him, the more he pulls away, making you feel like no matter what you do, it will never be enough. But here's the truth. It's not about you. It was never about you. The Master Manipulator does not love. He controls. He does not seek partnership. He seeks dominance. His greatest weapon is confusion, because as long as you are confused, you are vulnerable. As long as you question yourself, he holds the power. And the worst part, when you finally start to see through his games, he will shift again. He will apologize just enough to pull you back in. He will remind you of the good times, tell you he never meant to hurt you, promise to change. And for a moment you believe him because you want to believe him. You want to believe that the man you first met is the real him, that the love you felt in the beginning is still there, that this pain is just a phase. But deep down you know the truth. A man who truly loves you will never make you question your own worth. He will never manipulate your emotions to serve his own needs. He will never twist reality to avoid responsibility. Love does not leave you feeling drained, confused, and unworthy. Love builds you up, strengthens you, and brings peace, not chaos. So when the Master Manipulator tries to weave his web of deceit, step back. See his words for what they are, tools of control, not expressions of love. And when the moment comes to walk away, do not hesitate. Do not look back, because the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to remember who you were before he made you doubt yourself. And you deserve to be whole again. You deserve a love that does not play mind games, a love that is steady, true, and kind. And that love will never come from the Master Manipulator. There is a heartbreak that feels like a slow unraveling, like a dream slipping through your fingers no matter how tightly you hold on. It is the pain of loving a man who is never truly present, a man who always seems to be searching for something else, something more, something that is never you. This is the sorrow of loving the eternal wanderer. At first, he captivates you. He has an energy about him, a hunger for adventure, a restlessness that makes him seem exciting and full of life. He talks about dreams bigger than the sky, passions that drive him, and the endless possibilities of the world. He sweeps you up in his whirlwind, making you believe that you're a part of something extraordinary. And for a time you are. The eternal wanderer makes you feel like you are the one he's been waiting for, the one who finally makes him want to stay. He showers you with attention, fills your days with passion, and whispers promises of a future together. You become intoxicated by his presence, believing that maybe, just maybe, you are the one who can quiet the storm within him. But the thing about wanderers is they never stay. At first you notice small things. His attention drifts, his eyes linger too long on the horizon. He starts speaking of new plans, new places, new dreams that don't seem to include you. The passion that once burned so brightly begins to flicker, and no matter how much you give, how deeply you love, he always seems to have one foot out the door. You try to hold on. You remind him of the dreams you built together, love you share, the promises he made. But love, no matter how strong, cannot anchor a man who refuses to be still. The eternal wanderer is not necessarily cruel. He does not intend to hurt you, and that may be the hardest part of all. He does care for you in his own way. But his heart belongs to the road, to the thrill of something new, to the constant search for a feeling he can never quite hold on to. And no matter how deeply you love him, you will never be enough to make him stay. And that is not your fault. It is not a reflection of your worth, your beauty, or the depth of your love. It is simply the nature of the man he is. His restlessness is not something you can cure, nor is it your burden to carry. You were never meant to be a temporary stop on someone else's journey. So when the eternal wanderer begins to drift, do not chase him. Do not shrink yourself in an attempt to fit into his ever-changing world. Love should not leave you feeling like an afterthought, a convenience, or a stepping stone to something else. Love should be steady, secure, and unwavering. And when the man who can't stay finally leaves, do not let it break you. Let it free you. Because somewhere there is a love that does not wander, a love that is sure, a love that is constant, a love that will not drift with the changing winds. And that love will never belong to the eternal wanderer. There is a kind of heartbreak that does not come from betrayal or deceit, but from the slow and painful realization that you were never truly seen. It is the loneliness of being with someone who only values what you can do for him, never who you are. It is the sorrow of loving a man who places himself on a pedestal so high that no one else, not even you, can reach him. This is the devastation of being with a self-absorbed king. At first he seems confident, self-assured, even magnetic. He walks into a room and commands attention, speaking with the kind of certainty that makes you believe he knows exactly who he is and what he wants. He may be ambitious, driven, and charismatic. You are drawn to his strength, his purpose, his passion. He makes you feel like you are stepping into the life of a man who is going places, and for a time you feel privileged to be by his side. But slowly you begin to notice something unsettling. His world revolves around him, and there is no space for you. The self-absorbed king is a man who sees himself as the center of everything. His dreams take precedence, his opinions matter most, his needs come first. He expects you to adjust, to support, to accommodate, but rarely does he do the same for you. When you share your joys, your struggles, your ambitions, he listens, but only long enough to find a way to turn the conversation back to himself. You begin to feel like a supporting character in your own relationship, as if your role is to admire, to praise, to uplift, but never to be truly known. You start to wonder if he loves you for who you are or simply for how you make him feel. Does he cherish your heart, your mind, your soul? Or does he only love the way you worship him, the way you fit neatly into the life he has designed for himself? The truth is, the self-absorbed king does not seek a partner. He seeks an audience. He does not desire a relationship built on mutual love and respect. He desires admiration, validation, and devotion. And as long as you give him that, he will keep you close. But the moment you need something more, the moment you ask for equal love, equal effort, equal sacrifice, he will pull away. You may find yourself fighting for his attention, longing for him to show the same care you have given him so freely. You may tell yourself that if you just love him a little harder, if you just prove yourself a little more, he will finally see you. But the truth is, he sees only himself. And that is not the love you deserve. Love is not one-sided. It is not about worshiping another while shrinking yourself. Love is about two souls walking together, not one person towering above the other. Love is about giving and receiving, not endlessly pouring into someone who refuses to do the same. And when you finally realize that the self-absorbed king will never change, that he will never step down from his throne to truly meet you where you are, you will have a choice to make. You can continue to live in his shadow, hoping for scraps of affection, or you can walk away, knowing that your heart deserves more than to be an afterthought, because one day you will find a love that does not ask you to dim your light to make someone else shine brighter. One day you will find a love that is mutual, selfless, and true, and that love will never belong to the self-absorbed king. And so I say to you, let not your heart be troubled by the ones who could not love you the way you deserve. Let not your soul be burdened by the weight of false promises, twisted truths, fleeting affections, or selfish love, because heartbreak, though painful, is not the end of your story. It is the clearing of the path, the removal of what was never meant for you, the breaking of chains you may not have even realized were holding you back. When the phantom promise keeper vanishes, do not chase him. When the master manipulator twists your mind, reclaim your truth. When the eternal wanderer drifts, let him go. When the self-absorbed king demands your devotion, refuse to bow. When the masked saint is unmasked, do not mourn the illusion. And when any man fails to honor your love, your time, and your worth, do not lower your standards, raise them. Because you, my friend, are not meant for broken love. You are not meant to be a footnote in someone else's journey, a pawn in someone's game, or a supporting role in someone's self-centered world. You are meant for a love that is steady, unwavering, and true. A love that does not leave you guessing, does not drain you, does not make you question your own worth. And until that love comes, walk boldly. Heal completely, love yourself fiercely, and never, never settle for anything less than the love you deserve. Because your heart is too precious to be shattered by the wrong hand.